Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with another massive show to bring you guys this morning. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on the show today, we're going to be talking about Manchester United's pursuit of two new centre-backs. This story coming out from Fabrizio Romano last night. We're also going to be discussing the potential fallout of Rafael Varane and Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag was asked ahead of the Luton game today in his pre-match press conference about what's going on with Varan, and he said some quite interesting things about the situation. So of course we will be talking and reacting to that, and we also will be talking about big change which is expected to come at Manchester United in the next couple of days. So lots to get into. Obviously we have got a match today as well, 3 o'clock UK time kickoff. We will be doing a bit of a preview for that, having a bit of a discussion about our expectations. As always, get involved in the comment section, get involved in the live chat, and let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show, as I always like to see what you guys have to say. So let's start off with the story again about this Brazilian midfielder. Now, we spoke about this guy on the show last night. His name's Andre, plays his football for Fluminense, obviously in the Brazilian league. Looks like a very, very good player. So there was 2 or 3 different journalists yesterday saying that Manchester United have apparently approached Fluminense, hopefully I'm saying that name right, Fluminense for the player, who is apparently going to leave the club in the January transfer window. There's other teams interested as well. There's people like Liverpool have been a strong admirer of this player for the last couple of years. He's available for somewhere between 30 and 40 million. He's been compared to someone like Joshua Kimmich, wanted by Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United. A couple of teams are really, really interested in this guy. He's already in the Brazilian national team. He's only just turned 22 years of age. Looks like a very, very, very good player. Been watching quite a few videos about him, and I can see why the comparisons to Joshua Kimmich are being linked. He does look like a very similar profile as Joshua Kimmich. And you know what? If Manchester United could get a deal like this done, I think it would be great business. I think the inevitable is going to happen that Casemiro will leave at some point in probably the next year, I would say, whether it's in January or in the summer. I would imagine Casemiro to go probably to Saudi, I reckon. I can see him maybe going to Al Nassr, where Ronaldo plays. I could just see it happening, you know. I think a lot of those players are at that point where they could go and get a 5-6 year contract, probably on ridiculous wages over in Saudi. So for their last big deal, I imagine that he probably will want to do something like that. United probably won't be in the Champions League next season either. So if I'm Casemiro, I'm sat there thinking I could stay in Europe, you know, not in the Champions League with Manchester United, or I could go to Saudi, probably earn a considerable amount more money and still wouldn't be in the Champions League anyway, because United aren't in the Champions League. Do you see where I'm going with this? So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But I do think that this guy, this Andre guy from Fluminense, would be a very, very good replacement if this does happen. I know we only signed Casemiro, was it last year, which seems a bit crazy really to already be talking about him going. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that Erik ten Hag is trying to push out these players on the bigger wages. You know, I'm just having a look now. Casemiro's on £18.2 million per year. He's still got 4 years left on his contract though. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But if I'm Jim Ratcliffe, Paul Mitchell, Jean-Claude Blanc, the people who we are expecting to be the main decision makers on the sporting side of Manchester United soon, I would be looking at those types of people and saying, right, we can still get some money for Varan. We can still get some money for Casemiro. We should sell them before they become free agents, because there's been so many players over the last 10, 15 years at Manchester United that they've run their contracts down and they've gone for free. You know, you think of the Pogbas, you know, letting Pogba's contract run down and then buying him back for 100 million. 5 years later, letting his contract run down and letting him go to Juventus. I know obviously people will say, well, Pogba's been banned from football, blah, blah, blah. But you get the general gist of it. We've been burned quite a few times by allowing players to run down their contracts and then ultimately not having a backup plan. And I think it is a big issue for Manchester United. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Hope everyone is doing good. Please do smash a like on the video, everyone who's just joined, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're only 10 subscribers away from 20,800. So please do subscribe if you haven't already, and let's see if we can hit that by the end of today's show. Let's see what people are saying. Right, I'll come back to the chat in a minute. We've got quite a lot to get into on today's show, so I'll jump back and forward from the chat. So do get your questions in and stuff, and I will circle back in a couple of minutes' time. So Fabrizio Romano's been talking about the takeover and about what Manchester United can expect in the coming weeks with the new ownership. And he has said the following. He says, Jean-Claude Blanc is now a concrete possibility for Manchester United as the new CEO. So I think it does look like this guy is going to come in. Obviously, we spoke about him quite a lot on the channel before, this Jean-Claude Blanc guy. I'll be honest with you, he wasn't someone I was familiar with until he was linked to Manchester United. But, you know, I'm not an expert in CEOs, business CEOs, to be honest with you. It's not really my strong point. But just to give you a bit of context of what he has done before, for those of you who are unaware of him, he used to be the CEO at Juventus. He was the CEO at PSG. He also worked on the Tour de France in one of the top levels. And he is now the CEO of Ineos Sport. So he's the head of Ineos Sport. He oversees all of the bits at Ineos Sport. And he's apparently going to be the person who will take over John Murta or Richard Arnold's job. So I'm excited about this. I think somebody, with that experience of working at two top clubs, Juventus and PSG, and also having a large part in the Tour de France. I think those are three massive sporting events, organizations, whatever you want to call them. And I think that's the kind of level we need to be looking at. Whereas if I said to you, what's John Murta done in his career? I don't think any of you would even know, would you? He's just one of those people who's been at Manchester United for a very, very long time, doing all sorts of different jobs. I'm just having a look now. So he's currently the director of football at United, John Murta. Before that, he was the women's football strategic advisor. I mean, that just sums it up for me. I mean, Manchester United's women's football team is so far behind the rest. They don't even have their own stadium. So before that, he was the director of development. Before that, he was the academy manager. And then before that, he was at Everton. So that's kind of been his route to Manchester United. He was at Everton for about 10 years, then came over to Manchester United. And let's be honest, right? He's been in some of the top positions, John Murta, for the last 10 years where we've been struggling. He's been here since 2013. And in the last 10 years, how many trophies have we won in that space? I know we've won one trophy in 6 years. So my point here is, right, he first of all was the academy manager. Then he was the director of development. Then he was the strategic advisor for the women's football. And now he's the director of football. And all of which in those time we've not been successful. So it's clear that we need to have a change. We seem to have this obsession of hiring within the club. I assume it's because the Glazers want yes men, if you like, people who would just say yes sir, will just do what they say. And I think that this new change that's coming in with Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos, David Brailsford, Paul Mitchell, Jean-Claude Blanc, I think it is going to kind of rustle a few feathers, to be honest, because they are really going to have to stamp their mark. They're going to get rid of these old people, hopefully, and bring in the new fresh ideas, new fresh faces, and hopefully they'll be able to come in and have a look at what mess has been created over the last 10, 15 years and really make some change. That's what I'm hoping for. Irvin says, why is there no news about Rashford leaving? He is on big money. Also, he is overrated and not United level. I don't think Marcus Rashford will leave, to be honest with you. I would be shocked if Rashford leaves. He's just signed a new contract. It's not going to happen. Aaron says, people questioning Ten Hag's leadership. I think he is the right man for us. VAR is always against us. I would agree with you too, mate. I would. Let me tell you this, right? Let's reword this on the show this morning. So everybody's praising Ange Postecoglou, saying, "Oh, look what he's done at Tottenham. It's incredible. Why can't Erik ten Hag done that?" Yeah, you are, aren't you? Some people in the chat who wants Erik ten Hag out. Ange Postecoglou's had no injuries whatsoever, 0. Okay, Mickey van der Ven and Maddison just got injured against Chelsea, didn't they? A couple of days ago, or last weekend, sorry. Everyone now is like, "Oh, their season's over." 2 injuries to 2 first-team players. Look at our team, right? Look at our defence. No Luke Shaw, no Martinez, no Varan, no Wan-Bissaka. That's been our season so far. Our 4 best defenders have been injured. You then look further up the pitch, don't you? You go through the rest of the positions. You've got a Casemiro who's injured pretty much quite a lot at the moment, isn't he? You've got McTominay playing as a CDM. You've got Anthony who was out for ages, and then when he came back was poor. You've got Sancho out. Do you see where I'm going with this, right? People praise Tottenham, but it is always about the bigger picture here. You have to look at the injuries. You have to look at the squad and stuff. And if we were here with our full strength squad and we were performing like this, I would be quite worried. I would, but I just think it's so hard to criticise somebody when when literally you're missing probably half of the first team players, literally. And then people are saying Ange Postecoglou's the best manager ever. Well, he's a good manager, yeah, no doubt about it. I like the way Tottenham are playing football, but they've not had any injury issues at all, have they? Until this one. I'm just looking through their injuries now. So the only people that have been injured are Ben Davies, who, let's be honest, is not even average. He's poor. And Ryan Sessegnon. Those are the only two players who've been injured this season. I'm just looking at their page. But now apparently James Maddison's out until January and Mickey van der Ven's out till January. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tottenham. Now 2 of their best players are out. Like with us, we've lost Martinez, we lost Luke Shaw, we lost Varan, we lost Wan-Bissaka. And we saw what happened. Our defence has completely fallen apart. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how Tottenham get on today. They're away at Wolves. Maybe they go out and beat them 4-0 without Mickey van der Ven and James Maddison, and maybe my point will become invalid. But I think we're going to see a massive change in fortunes now for Tottenham, purely just because of the injuries that they've just incurred. And I think we have to remember that. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. And the thing as well, right, just to go back to that, they were very lucky against us, Tottenham. They were. We should have had a penalty. We were the better side in that first half. We should have been 2 or 3 up. So yeah, I think they were very lucky to be where they are at this point. They've had some good results, but I reckon the cracks will now appear in Tottenham and they'll go down. And as well, as Comeback King says in the chat, Tottenham have only been playing 1 game of football a week. We've been playing 2, sometimes 3, because they're obviously not in Europe. They got knocked out of the League Cup in the first round. They literally are playing 1 game of football a week, had no injuries. And that's the level, isn't it? I honestly believe, right, that if Erik ten Hag had his full strength squad, no European football, and 1 game a week, I reckon we would be seeing really, really good football. I reckon we would be in the top 4. I reckon we'd even be in maybe 2nd or 3rd. Genuinely, I genuinely believe that. Because I definitely think there is something with Erik ten Hag that attracts me. I think he is a good manager. I just think that the amount of games he has, the amount of injuries, I just think that's partly his plays for it. Al says, are you guys convinced that Erik ten Hag knows what he's doing? I am, yeah. I think Erik ten Hag definitely knows what he's doing. Definitely. As I just said, mate, think about it, right? He's playing 3 games a week with literally half of his first team players missing. We didn't sign really the right players in the summer. We didn't sign a centre-back because we didn't have the money. And, when we compare that to other teams like Tottenham who are doing well, they're playing 1 game a week. So, yeah. Irvin says, what is the difference between Rashford and Casemiro? We bought Casemiro last year and Rashford got a new contract. Technically, both players are new signings. If Cas goes, Rashford should too. Mate, the difference between Casemiro and Rashford is one of them's 25 and one of them's... How old's Casemiro? Is he 31? Casemiro's 31 years old. There's your difference there. You've got one player who's in his mid-20s and one player who's in his early 30s. That is the difference. The point I'm trying to make with Casemiro is I think he's a good player. I really, really do. I like Casemiro. I think he was one of our best players this season. Erik ten Hag, for whatever reason, clearly has fallen out with him, or there's been some sort of disagreement because he got taken off a couple of times, didn't he, at half-time? And I just think that if an offer comes in from Saudi, a big money offer, we should be looking to take that, because if you leave it another 2 years and he's 33, 34, he'll just go as a free agent and we'll get nothing back. So we've got to just be conscious of things like this, and we need to have better ownership where the owners are looking at the kind of 3, 4, 5 year plan. The Unlimited says, Kieran, where's the cash to sack him? They're speaking from their ass. Well, there you go. There isn't any cash to sack him, yeah. But what has been said though is that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe does want Erik ten Hag in, right? But we have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of games. If we lose to Luton today, it's going to be absolute carnage. I would be shocked if we lost to Luton. I would. I can't even begin to imagine what will happen. I mean, even if we draw against Luton, that would be an absolutely terrible result. We need to go out there. I know I say this before most games because this is how I feel at the moment. We need to go out there and put a real stamp on our season. This needs to be the game where we go and get a big result, because our goal difference is an absolute joke, let's be honest. And that first 20 minutes, 30 minutes against Copenhagen was the best football I'd seen all season, apart from the 3-0 Crystal Palace win. We need to go out and play that type of football, and we need to blow them away in the first half. We need to get the 3 points. We could go up to 6th place. We could be 3 points off the top 4 if results go our way this weekend and we win, So we're not that far away from everything. We just need to remember that. We need to, stick with the team, stick with the manager. There's bigger things happening here. We need to see what goes on with the ownership first. We need to see whether Paul Mitchell, Jean-Claude Blanc come in. If they decide in a couple of months' time that Erik ten Hag's not the right man for the job, if the results don't keep going our way, then obviously you have to back that decision, don't you? But at this moment in time, Erik ten Hag is 100% the right man for me, without a shadow of a doubt. Just running through the games that we've got coming up next, just to give you guys a bit of an idea. There are some very, very difficult fixtures coming up after the international break. So obviously we play Luton today. Like, it is a must-win today. I'll say this now, right? I think if Erik ten Hag lost today, I think his job would be on the line. The reason I say that is because obviously we've got the international break now. Straight after that, we've got Everton away, which is never an easy game. I know people will say, oh, Everton, ha, ha, ha. But honestly, Everton at Goodison Park is never an easy game. Then you've got Galatasaray away. Manchester United have never beaten Galatasaray away from home, so that's going to be difficult. We obviously lost to them at Old Trafford. Then you've got Newcastle away, right? You're hearing this. So the 3 games after the international break are all away. Everton away, Galatasaray away, and then Newcastle away. Then you've got Chelsea at home, which is a difficult match, let's be honest. And then it gets a little bit easier. Well, actually, no, it doesn't get a little bit easier. We've got Bournemouth at home, which I guess should be winnable. Then you've got Bayern Munich, then Liverpool away, West Ham away, and then Aston Villa at home. I mean, literally the next 10 fixtures after the international break, I'm not even being dramatic, but if we play the way that we have played so far this season, I could see us losing to Everton away, see us losing to Galatasaray away, see us losing to Newcastle away. Chelsea at home, I think a draw would be probably, realistic. Bournemouth at home, obviously that's a must-win game. Bayern Munich at home, that will be difficult, but you'd imagine we'll beat them because they don't have anything to play for at that point. Liverpool away, I mean, let's be honest, we're going to lose at Liverpool most likely. West Ham away, West Ham are having a good season. And then Aston Villa at home, they're having a good season as well. Like, literally the next 10 fixtures are going to be very, very, very difficult for Manchester United and for Erik ten Hag. I mean, that run of fixtures takes us up to Christmas. And there are people, murmuring, saying, oh, he's going to be sacked by Christmas. And I don't think he should be sacked. Definitely not. But looking at that run of fixtures, if some of those results go badly, which I expect they will, who knows? Who knows what could happen? So we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, I'm 100% behind Erik ten Hag. You know that. He's definitely the right man for the job for me. And let's hope that it continues. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this morning. Aaron says Arsenal struggled at Everton. Yes, they did. Henrik says, has there been any indication on our transfer budget for the January transfer window? Do you reckon there'll be more money this window given our previous Jan window's history? At the moment, I think it's looking like we will need to sell to buy. Obviously, we're expecting Sancho to go. Obviously, we're expecting Donny van de Beek to go. I would expect... I mean, we'll talk about Varan in a minute, but I have a feeling that Varan might go as well. So we're going to talk about that really, really quickly. So Erik ten Hag was asked about Raphael Varane and what's going on with him, which I think is, the question we all want to know. And he said ultimately that there's no issue with Varane. There's no issue. The thing is, right, I just think from looking at the body language of Varane when he came on the pitch against Copenhagen, how can you say there's no issue? Like, how can you say there's no issue? Like, it's clear to see that there is an issue. Yeah, I don't know what to say really about that one. It's a difficult one because obviously you don't want to speculate, but you can only think what you see with your eyes. And what I saw with my eyes with Varane was that it wasn't the Varane I've seen for the last 18 months. He looked disinterested. He looked almost like annoyed. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But let me know what you guys think. Just quickly on the director of football thing, Fabrizio Romano also said on his podcast last night, he said, Paul Mitchell is now the big favourite to become the new sporting director of Manchester United. It is now a serious possibility. So it looks like we know who our 2 top targets are in those elite roles. Paul Mitchell for the director of football and Jean-Claude Blanc as the CEO, which, you know what, I would welcome. I really, really would. I'd be very, very happy about that. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think. Who is your preferred director of football? Who is your preferred CEO? Let's move on to the story about the new centre-backs then. So on the same podcast, Fabrizio was talking about Varan. He was talking about centre-backs and all the rest of it. And he said that Manchester United want to sign a new centre-back in 2024. He said it could now be 2 centre-backs, one in January and one in the summer. And people are probably thinking, 2 centre-backs? How is that going to work? Well, the thing you have to remember here, right, is Johnny Evans is on a 1-year contract. I would be absolutely shocked if they keep Johnny Evans post this season. So Johnny Evans will go. I imagine that Varane will go as well. Or Lindelof, one of the two, Varane or Lindelof. maybe even Maguire as well. You know, there's all these question marks with a lot of our centre-backs, and I think we definitely do need to reinforce that position as a priority. We're absolutely leaking goals at the moment. Really, really poor our defensive run this season. I know a lot of that was blamed on Onana at the beginning, but in some ways I don't think that's actually fair, because I think he's actually pulled off some pretty good saves so far. Obviously, he had a couple of big issues, didn't he, against Bayern? But since then, he saved a penalty for us. He's been a really good goalkeeper, I think, in the last kind of 3 or 4 games, Onana. And he's starting to win the fans' trust and the fans' respect. So hopefully he continues that form. Let's see what else people have said in the chat this morning. Josh says, what's your... Joseph says, what's your prediction against Luton? I'm expecting at least like a 2 or 3 goal win. So, I don't know... 2-0, 3-1, 4-1. Like we need to win by at least 2 goals, in my opinion, because our goal difference is an absolute joke. We're on -4 goal difference. We really, really need to improve it today. Kevin says, if we lose today, then it will be very difficult to defend Erik ten Hag. Fair enough. Yeah, I hear you, mate. I do. Jihan says Maguire will go. Lumen says, Kieran, will you apologise to your Erik ten Hag out subscribers if he gets sacked? I won't apologise, no. I mean, I'm not going to apologise for supporting our manager. Like, yeah. I'm not going to apologise for supporting our manager. I think we should all support our manager. I think, as I said earlier on in the stream, right? For people to be saying Erik ten Hag out when he's literally missing his whole back defence, when he's had 20... I seen this thing yesterday, right? He's had over 20 players injured this season. 20. Let me give you a bit of context, right? Let me flip that on its head. On the same graphic image thing, it said that Man City have had 2 injuries this season, Rodri and somebody else. And since those 2 injuries, they lost to Wolves, they lost to somebody else, they lost to Newcastle in the League Cup. Like, just let that sink in for a minute. To have 20 players from your squad injured in the space of 3 months. I just think that to be calling for a manager's head after he got top 4 last season, won us a trophy and got us to another final, I just think it's a little bit like... I just think that... I'll be honest with you, right? I think that people just need to have a bit of a reality check of where Manchester United are. Like, are you the same people who thought that we were going to win the Champions League and the Premier League this season? Like, if that was your expectations, then fair enough. I can see why you think Erik ten Hag should be sacked, but I just don't see how in any world you can actually genuinely think that we were in the running for the Premier League or the Champions League this season from the beginning of the season. Like, we weren't. So I'm not going to be, saying to sack the manager. Like, I just think it's pointless personally, but that's obviously up to you. If you want to do that, then that's fine. Al says, when was the last time we had an easy win? I'd say the last easy win was that Crystal Palace in the League Cup. That was the last easy win for me, but I get your point. Yeah, Crystal Palace in the League Cup at home, the 3-0, that was an easy win. David says, Erik ten Hag cannot say anything about Varan. If his attitude is wrong, he must on no account be played. I agree with that. Gambian says, what's your team prediction for the game today? So I'm going with this for the lineup. I'm going with Onana in goal, Dalot at left back. I'm going for Maguire and Varan as the 2 centre backs. Right back, I'm going Wan-Bissaka. Midfield, I'm going for Amrabat and Mason Mount today. Front 3, I'm going for the same as what we played against Copenhagen. Garnacho on the left, Bruno down the middle, Rashford on the right, and then Højlund as the striker. That's my prediction. I think it will be that. But knowing Erik ten Hag, there'll be a surprise. We'll probably have Donny van de Beek playing or something. There'll be some bizarre surprise that no one really expected. Let's have a look. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this morning. I'm not going to be doing a watch along for the game, but I will be live as soon as the game finishes at about it'll be about 4:45, 5 o'clock. So as soon as the game finishes, make sure to come over and we can all react to the match together. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this morning. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video before you leave. Please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner. We're only 5 subscribers away from 20,800, so please do go and do that. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.